A sunray shadow and lots of other flies can be combined just by using the overall color combinations and tying this very simple fly with no body and just the wing. In this case, it's the Iceman color combination I've used: chartreuse underwing, blue middle wing, and a black overwing. Now the tube for this one is actually free, you can say, because it's the cutoff part from a Flexitube, which I use for the bigger flies. So rather than throwing this out, keep them and use them if you ever tie these really small tube flies. And small tube flies, small flies in general, are usually very effective late in the salmon season when the river is running clear. Let me show you how to tie this. It's very simple. I just slide my tube on. I don't really cut it to length. There's no need. I do that afterwards. Use a white tying thread. You can use a chartreuse, which would give it a nice colored head. And I just attach the tying thread where I want the head to be and leave the rest of the tube bare. Now on this fly you have to be a little bit careful of how many tying threads, how many thread wraps you use. So chartreuse underwing, and as you can see on the one I just showed you, it's you use very little material. So just stack this. There's some dubbing. And now, since you want each bunch of hair to be a little bit longer than the previous one, you have to make sure that you don't make the first bunch of hair too long. So that's about what I want. 2, maybe 3 wraps. Pull up and cut off as close as you dare. Whether or not you use, look at that, I have a leftover piece of flash. Whether or not you use flash on these small flies is of course up to yourself. I usually do, you can always cut it off. I lift one in and place it on the far side. Take the next one in and place it on the near side of the fly towards me. And one turn secures both. Cut it off. Blue craft fur, once again, just a tiny amount. A little bit more dubbing. And I once again pull out the longest fibers and stack them back in. And you can see when it goes in, it's a very small bunch. A little bit longer than the chartreuse. Tie it in so that it sits on top of the butt ends of the chartreuse. 3 turns. Just check if it's stacked the way you want it to. Lift off, lift up, and cut off. And here I'm going to tie in a single piece of this chartreuse flash. Once again making that same length as the blue wing, maybe a little bit longer. Pull hard, one turn secures both, and cut off. Finally, an even smaller bunch of black, because black will otherwise easily dominate the entire color scheme of the fly, and that is of course not the point. So just a tiny amount of black, a little bit longer than the blue bunch. Once again, tie that on top of the blue bunch. See that slid off a little bit. So I'll just make sure that it sits on top like that. 3 turns, check if it's stacked, looks good. Lift up and cut off. And now simply form a head with the tying thread. A quick whip finish. Pull it tight. Remove the thread. I think I have a single strand there. And now just a couple of drops of varnish or super glue, even UV resin if you use that. I think a small drop of varnish is fine. Just make sure you go around and get some varnish all around the head. Like that. And now I simply pull off the entire fly and cut off just in front of the head. And as you can see, that's enough for 3 or 4 flies of the same type. And believe it or not, this tiny tube is a very effective fly in the late part of the season on clear water. So this one is, of course, the Iceman and the Sunray combined, so I call it the Iceray. I hope you like it.